trying to go live.
Am I close enough?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Financial Friday. It's been a little crazy. We're starting a little late today because both Barbara and I have been a little swamped with the phone calls from people inquiring about SBA loan process and mortgage process and what they should do in terms of some of their creditors. So we just wanted to hop on today and shed some light on some of the things that we've been finding out over the course of the last couple of days. Things are changing every day, so we're going to do our best to share the most recent information that we have received with you today, okay?
Yeah, before we jump into that, Rosaline, I just want to hop in and say real quick to our Focus and Thrive people who have bought tickets and they're, not able to attend. We're not going to go on with the Focus and Thrive for right now. It's been put on standby because of all of what's going on. But we definitely want you to hold on to your tickets. We had lots of ticket sales. And as soon as we can get some days back, even the Hilton Hotel where we were having the event, they're on, standby with everything and even closing a lot of their hotels. So for right now, our lives, all of us have been impacted by this COVID-19. And we are definitely feeling the results and the effects of it, all of us. So it's affecting everyone, and we're here today to just maybe kind of lift your spirits just a little bit. Thank you for being here, watching us and staying along with us. We haven't been here for a while. We had to make some changes. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there. One of the things that I wanted to start talking about, that I'm getting a lot of calls from business people about the disaster relief that Trump has put out there. Just want to let you know that that is designed for relief for business people. Right now, it's being posted to some of the states that are being affected really with this virus, and that's California, Washington State, Idaho, Oregon, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, and Rhode Island. So Maryland is not in there yet. I know we're talking to most of our Maryland folks. One of the things that you have to do in order to see if you can get some relief is you have to go on to sba.gov/disaster in order to go onto the website and put your application in. And from what my research has gathered and from what I can get from it, this program is not for everyone. You have to kind of meet some really specific requirements, meaning that this COVID-19 has really affected your state, and it's for businesses who really do not have any access to working capital. They have exhausted their funds, they don't have any money, and they're in one of these states. It's going to be rolled out to all of the states, but for right now, if you're not in those states that I listed earlier, you probably, and you don't have this situation where you are out of funding. It's not just for you to just go take out a loan because they're offering these rates. The interest rates are 3.75 for businesses, and they're 2.75% for nonprofits. Remember, it's in the regions that are mostly affected and declared disasters by the federal government. And if your business is doing fine, and this has come along and it's adjusted things like it's affected all of us, then it might not be something that you would qualify for. And I'm here to kind of go over anyone who has any questions, whether or not they would qualify for this relief. If you don't, there's still other options out there for financing. Business financing is still out there for business owners every day as usual until we hear otherwise, okay? Also, I'm finding out that if FEMA doesn't cover the purposes, like if your disaster has to do with real estate, personal property, inventory, any type of economic injury, machinery or equipment needed, then FEMA is still there for those folks, those business owners, that's the effects that they're having. Otherwise, go on to sba.gov/disaster and you'll see the website there. This is not a loan that you can go directly to a bank and get. It's only handled on the website at the sba.gov disaster. So
if I could, if I could interject, some of the other states, and forgive me if I mentioned some of the ones that you've already mentioned, but they've now updated it. So now it's also California, I'm sorry, this glasses are not cooperating today. California, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, New Mexico, Colorado, DC, District of Columbia, Virginia, Maryland is now on there.
Maryland's on there? Okay, great.
Yeah, Maryland is now there. North Dakota, Wyoming, Texas, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah.
Okay, good.
They're there now. Now, the thing about this now, even though your state is listed as being one of the ones who can apply, it really goes by, you said county, correct, Barbara?
Yes.
It has to be where your county has to be directly affected in order for you to actually put in the application with the SBA.
Right. So in other words, like Maryland is on the list. If I think it's Harford County and some other counties that have some, some numbers, some higher numbers than others. If you're in any of those counties, then you should be okay. The bottom line is when you go on to the SBA website and you put your information in, it will kind of lead you through whether or not it's going to work for you. It's not a guarantee. There's no guarantees on there. You actually have to put your information in for it to calculate back to you whether or not it's something that you can get benefits from. And in terms of personal loans, did you do the spreadsheet, Rosaline, with the credit bureaus that I sent you?
Oh, yes. Let's see if I could share the screen.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can.
We're going to share some information. Like if you're going to run into some issues with your job or your income, that now is a really good time to go and get the free credit report, so you can have your credit reports there and take an overall look at everything that's going on with you personally for your credit. Your credit reports can be mailed to you during this time that we're sitting around waiting, and you can get all 3 credit bureaus and kind of see what position you're in with your creditors as far as your balances, how much you owe, all the details, and see if there's, some room to maybe cut down on some of your spending, your balances. There is still ways to do debt consolidations to maybe bring some of those credit cards into one payment with a better interest rate and free up some extra cash for you to work with. So
yes,
Equifax's address, if you want to write them, you might want to pull up TransUnion and Experian so folks can write down their addresses. And we will share this with you if you don't have time to write it down, where you can go and get all of your credit reports. While we got a little time, and just kind of take a look and make sure there's no discrepancies on your credit report. You know, I found out too recently, for people who have collections on their credit reports and their medical collections, that can be, sometimes you can get those off of your credit report because it doesn't, it violates HIPAA laws to share someone's medical stuff publicly like that. And that was something that I just was recently made aware of, as that those medical collections that is showing up on a lot of our credit reports could be possibly get removed from your credit report, because that does stop you from getting financing if you're trying to do some debt consolidation or borrow money. So just wanted to put that out there to you guys as some helpful information if you do have, you find on your credit reports that you do have some medical collections. Okay.
Yeah, and it's very interesting too how depending on what type of loan you're trying to go for, it matters, and then other things they really don't look at it anymore.
Right.
So, yeah. So in those instances of what you discussed, it's a matter, it's a condition. But I've found out recently, if you're going to refinance your home, you don't necessarily look at the medical. They kind of disregard that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting about the different things that appears on your credit report, depending on what you're applying for, that they look at.
Yes, the underwriting guidelines can change from getting a mortgage with which is your home is collateral, as opposed to a loan like a refinance of your debts, which is not collateral. So that does make a difference there. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Something else for consumers. I have one of my friends that's still doing, working in the mortgage business, and he shares some questions and answers recently for you mortgage people who own their homes. And one of the questions that was asked is the government doing anything to bring rates back down? And he answered, the Federal Reserve Bank has pledged to buy U.S. mortgage-backed securities, which is also known as MBS, to stabilize the MBS market. While rates may fall back to early March lows, it is unclear whether supply will overwhelm demand again, as it did, weeks prior. And also another question was, if the U.S. Treasury bonds are showing record low yields, should my mortgage rate be lower? And he answers, mortgage rates are determined by the price of mortgage-backed securities. That's MBS again. MBS have their own market where prices are determined by supply and demand. Over the past week, the supply of MBS have overwhelmed demand, and that's causing the value of MBS to drop. When the value of MBS drops, mortgage interest rates move higher. So that doesn't cause the mortgage rates to go down. Okay, so that's a couple of things.
It's an inverse relationship.
Pardon me?
It's an inverse relationship then.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So that's a couple of things for us to think about if you own your home, or if you're trying to consolidate bills right now, if your money is squeezed and you're trying to look at some relief to lower your monthly payments and have some more cash available, for groceries and other essentials that we're going to need, during this period of time.
Barbara, I see Sandra Thompson, she has a question when you were talking about, I guess, having some of those items from the credit report removed. She's asking, how do you do that?
Well, you could, I do have connections with credit repair. And if you want me to help you with that, what they do is they actually take a look at your credit report, see where those items may or may not be, there may be an opportunity for you to remove them. So your first step, if you don't want to do it yourself, which is time consuming, there's a lot of letter writing. You've got to get a copy of your credit report to know what number is attached to this reporting on your credit bureau. And there are companies that are focused on doing that for you. So feel free to reach out to me, Sandra. I can connect you with companies that can help you cut through the chase, so to speak, to get those items removed off your credit report.
Okay, good
And of
stuff.
course, you can reach me at barbara@thefennellgroup.biz. And you can call me on 443-752-2869. And I thank you for your question.
Okay, so just to kind of float back to the SBA, and like we said, things are changing and upgrading as we speak from a financial point of view. Some of the things that they're looking at when you apply for these SBA loans are the following: your most recent federal income tax returns, a personal financial statement. A personal financial statement basically has you list all of your assets, all of your liabilities, and all of your equity. So it's kind of like a personal bank, what do you call it? A personal balance sheet. Yeah.
Okay.
And they, and then they want a separate schedule of liabilities listing all fixed debts. And now this is for your business. That part of it is for your business. They want to make sure you have all of the SBA paperwork filled out. They're going to want a year-end profit and loss statement and balance sheet for that tax year, and a current year-to-date profit and loss statement, monthly sales figures for increases in the amount of equity injury. And, there might be some more things. I'm going to try to share my screen because I know it was a lot that I said and a lot to see. Let me try to share it so you can kind of get a view on what they're actually looking for. Just be patient with me really fast. I'm going to do this. Okay. So the criteria for a loan approval, they're going to look at your credit history. The applicant must have a credit history that's acceptable to the SBA. Repayment, they must be able to determine that when you take out this loan, that you have the ability to repay. And the eligibility is that the business must be physically located in a declared county. Now that's very, very important. Just because your state is said to accept, is amongst the ones that are participating in the injury disaster loan, your declared county has to be included. And the business has to have suffered working capital losses due to the declared disaster, not due to a downturn in the economy or other reasons. So that's very important.
Very important
for you to understand.
And also, too, Rosaline, I still have abilities to get you SBA loans, just the regular loans without the disaster relief, and they're still around 6%. So they still are excellent interest rates for SBA.
Okay, that's good. Okay. That's good. And you might say, well, how much could I borrow? Eligible entities may qualify for loans up to $2 million. And the interest rate, we were talking about interest rates for these disaster loans are 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofit organizations.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you can have up to a term of 30 years. So that's pretty decent. It gives you plenty of time to pay this loan back. And that's really great. And remember that the eligibility for these working capital loans are based on the size. You must be a small business. And it also depends on the type of business and its financial resources. Now, these working capital loans may be used to fix debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that would have been paid had the disaster not occurred. These loans are not intended to replace lost sales or profits or for expansion. Okay? And here are some collateral requirements. Economic injury disaster loans over $25,000 require some collateral. SBA takes real estate as collateral. That's an option when it's available, but they will not deny you a loan for a lack of collateral, but requires borrowers to pledge what is available. So that's kind of good to know. Okay. So we
Mhm.
talked about the type of businesses that can apply. Uh, Here are some examples of eligible industries include, but are not limited to, hotels, recreational facilities, charter boats, manufacturers, sport vendors, owners of rental property, restaurants, retailers, souvenir shops, travel agencies, and wholesalers. Now, what's important to know is that you have to have a physical presence in a disaster area. Okay, if you have a PO box in a disaster area, that is not enough to qualify as a physical presence. Okay, and just to compare them to other SBA loans, the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan comes directly from the U.S. Treasury. It's not, like Barbara said earlier, the SBA relationship with the bank. So these come directly from the Treasury, okay? And you can apply for these loans if you qualify at disasterloan.sba.gov. There's no cost to apply, it's free. There's no obligation to take the loan if you are approved, and the maximum unsecured loan amount is $25,000.
And
What's the
remember,
difference,
they
Barbara,
are
between an unsecured loan and a secured loan?
right. So I wanted to remind folks that if you have credit lines with your bank already for your business and access to funding, otherwise, and it's not exhausted, then you're not going to fall into this category to get this money. And the
Yeah.
state, of course, and the county, these.
Can you say that again, just so that it's clear?
Yeah, specifically for the people who are going to apply for this, if you have access to credit lines already for your business through your banks now, and you have access to funds from those accounts, this is going to kind of move you out of being qualified because you do have access to funds for your business already. And they will
Yeah,
check, and they will
right,
verify, because you're going to
right.
have to upload some documents. You can go in there and put, I'm in a disaster situation, but everything that goes with this application is going to be documented and
Right.
verified. Okay.
So we're just mentioning that also to save you some type of confusion and heartache. There are a lot of things that's developing daily, and not everything is not being revealed or released. So we've been getting a lot of phone calls with people inquiring about that, and that's some of the things that are not being said about the loan. Here are some businesses that are ineligible for an economic injury disaster loan. Unfortunately, agricultural enterprises, if the primary activity of the business is as defined in Section 18B1 of the Small Business Act, neither the business nor its affiliates are eligible for the disaster loan assistance. If you're a religious organization, you're ineligible. If you're a charitable organization, they're ineligible. Gambling concerns, ineligible. Casinos, racetracks, ineligible, unfortunately. Okay. So just some quick information on how to apply. Applicants may apply online using the electronic loan application via the SBA secure website at disasterloan.sba.gov/ELA. They encourage you to do everything online. Paper loan applications can be downloaded, but the process will go a lot quicker if you actually process it online. Okay.
Sounds good.
So yeah. Now there are some people who are available to offer free assistance with reconstructing financial records, preparing financial statements, and submitting the loan application. Some of the SBA partners are SCORE, Women's Business Centers for all the women entrepreneurs that are out there. who feel more confident or comfortable working with other women or people who are advocates of women businesses, and also veterans business outreach centers. And you should also check with your local chambers of commerce for any free assistance with reconstructing financial records and so forth. Okay, it's really encouraged if you can to submit your application as soon as possible. And make sure that everything is completed thoroughly. There are a lot of delays and so forth, just because applications are not completed properly, okay? And so forth and so on. So again, if you are a business and you don't qualify for the disaster loan, Barbara Fennell and the Fennell Group, they can help you with other financial loan resources.
And we want to thank Tiffany for sharing that Montgomery County in Maryland had the highest numbers of corona cases. So Montgomery County in Maryland is one of the counties, if your business is there, that you might want to go ahead and apply for the disaster relief.
That's good. Tiffany. Thanks for sharing that, Tiffany.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're here for you. We're going to try to come back on. I know I'd like to share some more financial and tax information with you coming up shortly. So check us out. We'll be here trying to give you the latest information with this coronavirus situation. We love you and wish you the best. We ask that you just stay strong and be encouraged, and keep checking back for information for the Financial Friday. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.